Yeah, let's get started. So before we get to the boring admin stuff, I just want to say a little bit about myself. So I'm Brandon. I'll be taking you for Math 160 differential calculus. That's for this whole year. And if you make it through this year, then I'll have you for Math 161 integral calculus. That will be next year. Okay. Just a note on the statistics. So there's about 100 of you here for the Math 160. Next year, that will go down to about 60, okay, for Math 161. So around 40 of you will not make it to the second year. And then after that, it goes down to around 40. Okay. So just to give you an idea of the difficulty of engineering. So I did my degree in maths, physics, and computer science. My honors, masters, and PhD are all in physics, but I will be taking you for maths. Okay, so let's start with the boring admin stuff, and then we can get into the fun maths. So first thing, the most important thing, university Wi-Fi. Has everyone been able to access the Wi-Fi? No. Okay, so what you do is you go to password.ukzn.ac.za. You put in your student number. You should all have your student numbers with you. That will allow you to set a password for your student account. Your student number and the password that you set is used for everything from now on. Okay, any UKZN website you want to log into, you need to use that student number and that password that you set. Okay, next, if you're accessing the Wi-Fi, you need to use a VPN. If you don't know what a VPN is, that's fine. There is a helpful guide over here. So you go to the Learn page. Has everyone seen that? Yes, no, have you seen it? Yes? Okay, so you go to the Learn page, you log in with your student number and your password that you set. Yeah. Okay, I'll take you to this page. You can go to Math 160. This will be the page that we use for everything for this module. You go down here to first year information, and it'll give you a bit of information here. So this file here, Global Protect installation for VPN access. If you don't know what a VPN is, you don't know what to do with that, you click that, you follow the instructions, that will set you up with the Wi-Fi. Okay. Any questions on that? All good. Okay, next thing, email. So again, your student number and your password that you set is used for everything, including the email. So your email account from now until when you finish will be your student number, whatever it is on your student card, at ukzn.ac.za. That's the email that you use, and that's the one that you use to email me. The problem is if you email me with some other email like Gmail or whatever, the UKZN system often blocks that since it's external to the university, then I don't see what you email me. Yeah. So if you're emailing me or you're emailing the college or other lecturers, make sure you use your UKZN email. Anything else might be blocked by the UKZN servers. Okay, so there's two ways to do that. You go to outlook.office.com. You can use the web email for that, or you can just get the Outlook app. Okay, does everyone know how to get the app? You know how to work app stores? Sure you do. Okay, go to the App Store, get Outlook. Then when you log in, what do you use? You use your UKZN email and the password that you set. Okay, again, that password is for everything. Any questions on the email? You're all good. Okay, so someone already tried to email me with Gmail, came up, blocked, don't view it, to go around to try to see what that email is about. Next time, I'm not doing that. Okay, if you're going to email me, make sure it's through the UKZN email. Next, Student Central. This is where you do all of your registrations. That's the most important thing. You've all done that now. And then the second thing is your viewing of class marks and your final marks. Okay, the marks will not be told to you by me. You don't go to anyone else for your marks. You don't go to the tutors for your marks. You go to Student Central and you see your mark over there. If there's a problem with that, then you come to me and we sort it out. Okay. So you don't ask anyone else for your marks. You go to Student Central and you see your marks there. Okay, so it should look something like this. Okay, sc.ukzn.ac.za. You log in with your student number. It will ask you for your password. Okay, you already know what to do with that. You log in, you go to final results and class marks. You'll see all of your marks over there. Okay, any questions about viewing your marks? Okay, so if you come to my office saying, "Sir, how do I look at my mark?" I'm going to say, "Out you go." Okay, I've gone through it now. Okay, next, the learn page. So this will be learn2026.ukzn.ac.za. This is where everything for this module and the other modules will be placed. Okay, all of the information will be found there. Okay, so you go to here. So you'll see MATH160, you'll see your physics and the 4 engineering modules as well. If you do not see them there, then it's a problem. You have to come to me. We can sort it out. Is everyone able to see the learn page? Yes, no? If you sit there quietly and you can't see it, then you need to speak up so we can help you. If you go through half the year saying, "Oh, I didn't know there was a learn page," you're going to be in trouble. Okay, so if you can't see it, please see me afterwards so we can fix that for you. Okay, first thing, module information. This is just general stuff about the module, some important things. So firstly, contact details. So I've got my email there. You can email me if you have any issues with the modules, with the tutors, with the work, homework, etc. Please email me. Next, class representatives. We're going to have to pick 2 class representatives, 1 lady, 1 gentleman. There is only one thing I need the class representatives to do, and that's email me if there is a class-wide issue. For example, if there's a clash with a test, for example, if I set you a test at 8 o'clock and you have a physics test at 8 o'clock, the class representative will email me and say, "Sir, there's a clash," and I can sort it out. I'd rather have 1 email than 100 of you telling me that there's a clash. Okay, make sense? Okay. So we need 1 male, 1 female. Any of you guys want to be class reps? No? Okay, I'll pick 1 at random then. Okay, 1 lady. Anyone want to be class rep? No? Okay, I will pick 1 at random. We'll see how that goes. So those 2 will be your class reps. If there's anything that affects the whole class, you email them. And then they will let me know that there's a class issue. Okay, so those 2 that I picked, that will come up later today. Okay, office hours. So my office is down this corridor over here. If you look to your right, you'll see the computer LAN. If you look to your left, you'll see some yellow doors. You go through there, you'll see the offices with me, your physics lecturer, and your engineering lecturer. Okay, so straight down here, look to your left there, you'll see the yellow doors, just go through there. So office hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, I might be here, I might not be here. You'll just need to check. But these days and these times, I will definitely be in my office. You can come see me about whatever, right? Homework, test problems, whatever you want. Okay, otherwise you can always send me an email. Okay, the year mark breakdown. Okay, so the year mark is split into 2. There is a class mark, which is all of the stuff we're going to be doing up to October. So that includes quizzes, that will be MCQ, multiple choice stuff. Tutorial tests, those are short written tests. Class tests, slightly longer tests. A June test. The June test will be 2 hours long and it will cover everything from semester 1. Okay, that will be 25% of your class mark. All of that is going to be half of your year mark. The other half will be a final exam in November, and that will count towards half of your year mark. Okay, and that will be on everything from now until the end of October. Okay, it's the full year's work. There's a slight weighting, so it's going to be 40% semester 1 work and 60% semester 2 work. Okay, so that's just a rough idea for now. I'll give you the full scope, with everything later on. But that's the idea. So 50% classwork, 50% exam, and then the exam is split between semester 1 and semester 2 work. And then just a note here, you should be aiming for at least 60% class mark before getting to the exam. This is just based on statistics from the last few years. Those students that got 60 and above, they passed. Those students that got 60 or below, they tended to fail more. Okay. If your class mark is around 50, you have a very high chance of failing the year. Okay. So it must definitely be above 50, otherwise you pretty much failed the year. But better than 60, that's what you should be aiming at. Okay. And as we go through the year, this mark will be updated, so you can see a live mark as we go through. So next week, when we do quiz 1 and TUT test 1, you'll get your mark, and you'll get whatever your class mark is for the year. And that will give you an idea. Then next week after that, we do another assessment. Then that mark will be updated, and you can see, does it go up, does it go down? If it drops below 50, you're in big trouble. If it's around 60, you're doing okay. Yeah. Is everyone understanding that? Yeah. So you'll see whatever your current class mark is throughout the year. So at the end of the year, there's no surprise if you fail or not. Okay. Because throughout the year, you could see exactly what your class mark is all the way up to the exam. Okay. So no surprises there. Okay. Timetable. So for semester 1, that will be this first half of the year. We're going to be using this blue part over here. Okay, so we're currently over here, Tuesday. So this week, there's no tutorials. We haven't done any work, so you're not going to be tested on anything. But from next week, there's going to be tutorials in the DC building. Have you been given a tour of the campus yet? No. Okay, so I think maybe on Thursday, we can do a quick tour of where you need to go. But the DC building, if you go out here into that little car park there, you'll see the big building up there on your right. That is DC, or Desmond Clarence. The tutorials are going to be on the 4th floor. It's the nursing floor. Not many students writing that down. I hope you don't get lost. Okay, then S3, that's going to be again out here. You go to Desmond Clarence and you'll see a big sign saying science block. That's going to be S block for science block. And then you look for the sign saying S3. Okay, so that will be for Thursday. Please make sure you know where that is. Okay, so after this, try and go find S3. And then after that, try and find the DC building. Okay, so that's for semester 1. And then semester 2, we're using a different timetable. Please do not mix these up. Any questions on the timetable? Yeah, so again, the blue part, the green part there, that's for my second years. It's just over here so you can see where I am. So if you try to come and see me during this time, I'm not going to be in my office. I'm going to be with the second years. This white space in between, that's when I'm in my office. Okay, the syllabus. This will be the syllabus for the year. We are going to start off with sets and functions, so very, very basic stuff. I assume you don't know much from high school, so we're going to start from the beginning and move up from there. Then we're going to go on to differential calculus. That will take up most of the year, and we're going to end off with some integral calculus. Just a note for your notebooks. I see some of you have notebooks there. You will need a 288-page notebook for your notes and a 288-page book for your tutorials. If you get a 196-page, that will not be enough. You need the full 288. Okay. If you go down to checkers, they're around 25 Rand. Okay. So 288-page, 196 will not be enough. Okay. Especially with all the notes we're going to be getting through. Okay, so one for your work, what we're going to do in class, and then one for the homework and the tutorials. Both of them 288. Okay, next, the absentee online form. If you are absent for a lecture, a quiz, a test, exam, whatever, you will need to go to this online form and fill in the details there. If you do not do that, you just get 0 for that assessment. Okay, there's over 100 of you. I'm not going to follow up on individuals who are absent because they were sick or they had to take their dad to the clinic. I can't follow up on you. So you fill in this form and I know exactly who's absent for lectures or assessments, and then you can write the catch-up test. If you do not fill this in, you don't write it. Okay, simple as that. Next, modules, rules and procedures, acceptance form. It's another form you need to fill in. Just read through it, should take a couple minutes. Fill in your details, click accept, and that means you've accepted the rules for the module. If you do not accept the rules for the module, you don't get your marks. Okay, so you accept the rules, you get your marks, everyone's happy. Any questions on these two? Okay, again, I emphasize for absenteeism, I'm not going to keep track of who's absent or not. If you come to me 2 weeks later saying, sir, I was absent for the test, here's my medical note, I'll just say, did you fill in the form? If you say no, you got 0 for the test. Sorry. Okay, you have to fill in the form. Nearly everything at this university is moving online, including doctor's notes and absenteeism and all of that. Okay, first year information, the handbook. This is the most important document that you need to read through for the degree. I'll just give you an idea. So this is for the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science. Obviously, you're here for engineering. So this has everything you need to know about all of the degrees within engineering, especially your engineering undergraduate degree. So it will cover what modules you need to do, what happens if you fail a module, what happens if you fail all of your modules, what happens if you want to take a year absent and then come back a year later. All of that is explained in this handbook. You will need to go through that. Okay. So just as an example, let's pick this, Agriculture Plant Science. So this will have all of the modules that you would need to do if you're interested in that degree. It's got the content, the assessments, DP requirements, what you need to do to write the exam, what you need to do to write the test for every single module. Yeah, and if we just look here for engineering, or we can look at this one here for honors degree for engineering, for example. Here, if you want to do architecture, you need to take these modules in semester 1, these modules in semester 2, and then these modules here. It gives you your total credits, gives you everything you need to do. Okay. There shouldn't be any doubt as to which modules you need to take, which are electives, which you don't need to take. Everything is in this handbook. Okay. You shouldn't need to ask any questions. But if you do have questions about your degree, what you need to take, what you don't need to take, you can come see any of your lecturers again in those offices there. Any questions about the handbook? Okay, so again, first thing, if you have any questions about the modules, what you need to take, you go to the handbook. Okay, don't go to the college office. They will just tell you to look at the handbook. Next, the VPN, we went through that. Critical social justice. Have you all registered for that module? Hands up if you have not registered for it. Okay, make sure you do register for it. If you don't, you do not get your degree. Okay, it's a very big rule now with all degrees at this university. If you do not finish that module, if you complete everything else, 90%, 100% for every module, you still will not get your degree. Okay, so you have to complete that module in order to complete your degree. Please make sure you go through this. Okay, next, the math module help guide. This goes through everything you need to know about the math modules for your engineering degree. It is very, very important because the math pass rate is very, very low. For example, next year, you'll be doing Math 132. A lot of students fail Math 132, and then in the following year, they come and say, I can't do anything because Math 132 is a prerequisite. you have to do Math 132 before doing anything afterwards. So just to illustrate that, we'll have a look at this diagram here. Okay, so here, Math 132, this is just for one of the degrees. If you can't do Math 132, then you can't do Math 142. Okay, it follows like that. Here, if you can't do, if you fail Math 160, you can't do Math 142, and you can't do Math 161, and you can't do Math 238, and you can't do Math 239. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 things you can't do just by failing Math 160. Which means your next year is screwed up because you can't do Math 142. The year after that is screwed up because you can't do Math 238 or 239. You see how it's a big problem going through. Okay, and then just as another example, that's just for the math modules. The same thing applies to other math modules. For example, Math 161, which you are doing next year. If you fail Math 161, you can't do any of these 4 below that. What are you supposed to choose for that year? You can't do any of those. Okay, so again, very big problem if you fail any of these math modules. And again here for Math 132, there are 6 modules here that you can no longer do if you fail the Math 142. So your entire next year is just screwed up. You'll have to repeat Math 142 that year and add another year to your degree to then catch up. Is everyone understanding? Yeah. And then the same thing for these other math modules here. Okay, so that is in the Maths Help Guide. You can have a look through that based on your degree. So if you're doing civil, you look at the civil part. If you're doing chemical, you look at the chemical part. It's split up nicely for you to look at. Quite warm. Okay, textbooks and notes. So firstly, the textbook. We are using the James Stewart textbook. Thank you. We're using the James Stewart textbook. There is a PDF available here. So you can download that. That will be the textbook for most of your degree up to not quite the last year. But every year up to the last one, you'll be using that textbook. Okay, the PDF is available, but I do suggest you get a physical copy. It's a lot nicer to work with. If you go to the Shepston building, do you know where that is? You do know. Okay, Shepston building. There's usually a couple guys there selling used textbooks. So instead of paying 2,000 Rand for a new textbook, you can get a used one for like 200 Rand. Yeah. So just ask the guy there for James Stewart. He'll know what you're talking about. Everyone uses that. If it's above 300 Rand, maybe don't buy it. Maybe use the PDF. But if you can afford it and it's around 300, I do suggest buying it. Okay. You will be using it for a lot of modules, so it is quite useful. Okay, then there's some supplementary notes here. So everything with this 160 here, we'll be using for this year. Okay, so 160 algebra and trig. That is for you to go through in your own time. Okay, that first one there. Then the calculus, that is what we're going to be going through. Then there's some extra things here, common math errors, how to study maths. It's a little help guide on how you should study and prepare for tests at university level. Right, you've all gone through high school. University is very different. You might need to change your study habits. Okay. For example, you might go out on Saturdays in high school. Now your Saturdays are all used up. As soon as you see what the tutorials look like, your Saturdays are gone. Saturdays are your math days now. Okay, next, YouTube channels. Okay, I'm quite in favor of you watching other YouTube channels for different topics. So this first one, this is my YouTube channel. This will have all of the recorded lecture videos for Math 160 and Math 161. So you can see that over here. Just follow the link. Okay, you'll see all of this here. So you see 394 subscribers. Yay. You can see around here, there's 100 of you. So clearly there's people from other places watching as well. So highly recommended. 394 people. Okay, so this has everything from last year, the year before, and the year before that. So there's a playlist for every year. So if you're watching the 2025 playlist and you think, oh no, I want some more problems, you go to the 2024 playlist and I've done different problems, right? Every year I do different problems. So you can start on any of these and it goes all the way down. There's quite a lot. So if you want to work ahead, just go to the YouTube channel. You can see exactly what we cover lecture by lecture. Yeah, and then there's some other ones over here. I'll just zoom in there. This one, Michael Penn Math, University Math lecturer. Very, very good lecturer. Does lots of examples. Same thing with Dr. Payam. Black pen, red pen. I think that's the best one for you guys to go through. Any of you heard of him? Black pen, red pen? Okay, please make sure you follow that. And there's a few other ones here you can go through. This one here, organic chemistry tutor. I think he started out with chemistry stuff, but he does a lot of maths things as well. Okay, so please go through all of these for exercises and explanations. Next bit, lecture notes. Over here, this is where I'm going to put all of the written stuff we go through in class. So that includes the written notes and the homework problems. Okay, that will go over there. Okay, next, weekly tutorial work. This is the homework of university level. So in high school, your teacher will give you, homework for the week. At university, we call them tutorials. Okay, it's just the homework you have to do. So the first thing over here is a list of all the tutorials. So let's have a look at that. So it starts off with numbers, inequalities, absolute values. So basic stuff from high school. And it lists out all of the exercises from the textbook. This is the minimum amount of work that you need to pass. Okay, if you don't finish all of this, not looking good for you. Okay, this is the minimum work to pass. So if you do all of this, you probably will pass, but you are expected to do more than this. Okay, again, minimum amount. So it goes to everything. So functions, that will be next week. You have to do all of this within that week, and then you are caught up with the workload. And it goes all the way down here to the integration. Okay, so where do you get the questions? So you go over here, tutorial exercises 1, that will be all of exercise 1 stuff. Then tutorial exercise 2, that will be everything from 2, and so on. Okay, the solutions are already available over here, so you can have a look through those. I suggest you try to do everything first and then look at the answers. It's very easy to look at the questions, look at the answers, and think, oh, of course, I know how to do that. Maybe you actually don't. Okay, so don't fall into that trap of looking at the answers and thinking you could have done it. Try it out first. Look at the answer. Okay, I got it wrong. Try it again. Look at the answer. Try it again. Look at the answer. That's the only way to do maths. If you're just studying by looking at the solutions, you're not studying at all, you're going to fail. Okay, but all of the solutions are here. Please feel free to work ahead if you want. If you come to my office and you ask about exercise 7 and we are in week 1, I'll be happy to help you with exercise 7. Okay, so if you want to work ahead 5 weeks ahead, perfectly fine. You come to me with whatever work, I will help you with that. Yeah, I do suggest you try and be at least 1 or half a week ahead of the work that we do. Okay, the reason is if you get sick for whatever reason and you now miss a week, well, now you're a week ahead, so it's actually fine. But if you are just keeping up, if you suddenly become sick, now you're a week behind. Okay, and you can fall behind very quickly. Okay, tutorial groups. So the class is split into several tutorial groups. Each group has an assigned tutor. You will meet them next week. If you have any issues with the tutorial work or the tutorial assignments, you go to that tutor, they will help you out. So you just go to this text document here. Okay, you'll see, let's zoom in there. You'll see all the student numbers and your group. Okay, this group here will tell you which tutor you need to go to for help. If you go to a different tutor, they're not going to help you. Okay, so each tutor has a specific group that they help. Any questions so far? You're good with that. Okay. Next, the group assignments. So during the tutorial sessions, that will be over here. Okay, the Tuesday is 12:20 DC. Again, your job, please find that. At the beginning of the lesson, I will post a tutorial assignment. Do you have a question? Okay. I will post a tutorial assignment. You will do that during the first hour of that period. Then you show the tutor your work. If the tutor says, yes, I'm happy with the work, he'll tick you off the register and you have completed that tutorial work, okay, for that week. Okay, that will be in the first hour. The last 30 minutes, that will be an assessment, which will be made up of a quiz, MCQ, 10 questions. You just pick A, B, C, D, and 2 written questions that are 5 marks each. Okay, very simple stuff based on that tutorial work. Okay, so again, first hour, tutorial assignment. You show the tutor, they will tick you off if they're happy. Then the last 30 minutes, that will be an assessment, and that will be every week. Okay, so every week there will be an assessment, apart from the weeks when there is a test. Then we just have the test. Any questions on that? You're good. Okay, just a note, if you miss too many of those tutorial assignments, you will be excluded from the exam, and that's an automatic fail for the year. So you will have to attend 80% of lectures starting from today. So I've got your attendance for today. So 80% of lecture attendance, 80% of tutorial attendance. If you do not meet that, you do not write the exam, and you're stuck with your 50% class mark. Okay. That's probably not going to get you through the year. So make sure that you attend those. Any questions on that? All good. Okay, so that is the tutorials done. Quizzes and TUT tests, I've gone through that. Class tests, we are going to have 4 class tests, 2 this semester for this half of the year, and then 2 next semester for that half of the year. Yeah, and it will be on whatever is covered up to the week before that class test. So we do all of the work, you have a week in which to study for that test, then we have the test. Okay, then we have all of the work, 1 week, and then the next test, and so on. Okay, and then the June test, I spoke about that already. Catch-up assessments, I mentioned this already. If you miss any tests, quizzes, whatever, you fill in that absentee form. That will allow you to write the catch-up assessment. That will replace any of those missing marks. If you do not fill in that form, that mark becomes a 0, and I can't help you after that. Okay, so please make sure you fill that in. And then last thing, the exam information and scope. Mid-year, your final year exam will be set. I will then give you a scope and a breakdown and all that. What that means is a question-by-question breakdown on what you need to study. So question 1, sets and functions, it will be on this stuff. Question 2, differentiation. Question 3, whatever. So that will tell you what to study for and what to leave out. Okay, obviously, I'm not going to test everything, so I'll give you what to study for. And lastly here, past assessments. Here are the sub-exams from previous years and previous class tests. So it should be roughly the same level of difficulty. Obviously, the questions are different. I change it every year, so don't try and memorize last year's test. I'm not going to help you out. One important note, the first 2 class tests and the June test will be open book. It's the department's trying a new thing. They're going to make the 2 class tests and the June test open book. They say you have lots of anxiety. So that will be open book. Now, there's pros and cons with that. The pros, you can have your 288-page notebook with you. You can flick through it as much as you want. You can bring your tutorial book with you. You can flick through it as much as you want to help you out with the test. So that's a pro. The con is that I can no longer give scene questions. So what I used to do is during the lecture, I'll say, oh, this question's very important. Everyone makes a note. Oh, this one's important. It comes up in the test. I can't do that anymore because if you've already seen it in class, it can no longer be tested in the test. So that's the downside. That's straight from the department. I can't change it. We just have to deal with that. Yeah. But you do have your books. Maybe it will be helpful, maybe not. Otherwise, you can always just treat it as closed book if you want. One last note, just with the assessments. So in high school, you haven't done much proof work, right? You did your Euclidean proofs and all of that. At university, there is a lot of proof type work, especially in maths. Your tests will be roughly 70% calculations. So you just do a calculation, get a number. 30%, 25 to 30% will be proofs, seen and unseen. So I will give you some statements and I will say, prove this. And you need to set out a logical proof from start to the beginning, start to the ending, and convince me that you have proven that statement. Okay. How many of you have covered proof techniques from high school? A few. Okay. We will go right back to the beginning with proof techniques, but those that have done it in high school, that is a good advantage. Okay, so don't forget that in the next week or two. Any questions on that? Yeah, so again, 70% calculation, stuff we did in class, 30% proofs. You probably would have not seen the proof before. Okay, so please make sure when I go through proofs and theorems and so on, you pay close attention to that. Okay, any questions? You're all good. Okay, so it's getting too hot for me to teach, so I'm just going to go through what we're going to be looking at this year, and then we'll leave it at that for today. So right at the beginning, so that will be in the next lecture, we will be going through sets and logic. So the logic part of that section, that will be used for all of your proof techniques going through. Okay, so we're going to start with that. Then we're going to go on to functions. Whatever you think a function is from high school, forget it, it's wrong. Your teachers lied to you about what a function is, so delete that from your mind. We're going to be starting from the basics with functions. Okay, yeah, please, whatever your teacher said about functions, ignore them. Okay, next, continuity, differentiation. Those are the major topics for this semester. Then after that, we're going to be doing differential calculus, integral calculus, the fundamental theorem of calculus. That will be the major topic for next semester. And then lastly, applications of integration that will carry on into next year. Now, the reason I call this the MATH160, MATH161 tower is that everything above here depends on everything below. For example, if you are a bit iffy on sets, a bit confused with sets, when we get to functions, you're going to be even more confused. Then when we get to continuity, you're going to be even more confused than before. Okay, everything builds up from whatever's below. This is not just to scare you into studying, this is the truth. Okay, if there's anything you don't understand in sets, you need to sort that stuff out before we move on to functions. Otherwise, you fall behind. And imagine I've got a class of 100. If one of you says, sir, please can you go through the sets example, 99 of you want to continue with work, we're continuing with work. Okay. I'm not going to wait for 1 out of 100. Okay. So please, as soon as we finish each chapter, go through everything, make sure you understand it before we move on. Far too many students think, oh no, I can just move on, it's new work. It's not new work, it builds up on the previous work. Okay. All the way up to second year. And then Math 132, Math 142 in your third year, that just adds to the tower, okay, as you go up. Does everyone understand that? Okay, you all say yes, and guaranteed 5 of you are going to be crying when we get to functions, and you say, oh, sir, I don't understand sets. Please make sure you understand every chapter before we get to the next one. Even if you have to sit in my office for an hour to go through sets again, I'm happy to do it. Just don't fall behind. Because once you fall behind in a class of over 100, you lost. Okay. It's not like high school. If you fall behind, you're behind. Okay, I'm just going to keep on going. Any questions on this? You're all good. Okay, so we'll leave it at that for today. Next lecture, we will start with sets and logic.